This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Some of the topics are addiction, fear, faith, self-compassion, relationships, codependency, emotional intelligence, and more. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations. My conversation is with Michelle Schacherer. I hope I have pronounced her name right. She is a CrossFitter, fitness passionate who lives in California. Michelle grew up in Mexico, living under the common modern American lifestyle, processed foods diet, and then eating less and moving more to be able to reach that perfect woman's body set by the media. After blaming herself and willpower for not being able to keep the weight off, she started trying different approaches until she finally looked for help and was able to learn from inspirational figures the best way to stay healthy in every aspect, physically, spiritually, and socially. This also has motivated Michelle to get a certification in nutrition by the Body Mind Institute. In this episode, Michelle talks about the truth behind nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle, the process she went through to learn about what was really needed to be healthy, from food to exercise to environment and relationships. To read Michelle's full biography, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Here is the interview with Michelle Schacherer. In your own words, who is Michelle Schacherer?
Wow. Okay. So it is a little interesting because I love putting words together. I don't know if you've seen my social media and everything, and I put pluses. I am a CrossFitter. I'm a fit junkie. I love everything has to do with fitness and nutrition. I'm an adventure traveler. I love traveling, getting to know cultures, teach me about yourself. And I'm very much I'm a tree hugger. So by that, it's not only that I love the environment and helping, everything be safer in general for, life on Earth, but also because I do find that connection with anything that I touch. If I go and walk in the woods, I appreciate the tree. You will see me touching leaves and trees because I like to feel that contact, because they're alive. That's pretty much, who I am as a person. And more friends get to know me. That's me.
That's cute. Thank you. My first official question to you is, do you have an unconventional definition for what is to be a healthy person?
Wow. Okay. So that is a little tough, but I don't think it's unconventional. I just say you just have to be who you are as long as you take good care of your body. I believe that, you can go and buy another car and another coffee machine and something. You cannot buy another body. So you have to take care of it so that it can work in your favor and take you to its highest potential. And while you're doing that, you can you also have that mental and spiritual side that will help you approach everything, because everything is holistically interrelated. If your body's working okay, if you have that body mind connection, then you would be surprised by where you can go, how your body's gonna, help you do things that you never thought you would have. And it happened to me with CrossFit and with running and with things I've learned at work and so many things that people just get surprised and go like, how do you do that? And it's like, well, I'm just fine tuning my own biology and fine tuning my mind. So that is how I would say, a healthy person is. I know it sounds like something you probably hear a lot, but that's just what resonates with me.
Yeah. And speaking of spirituality, what is to be spiritual to you?
Wow. Okay. So to me, it's just being 100% in touch with your inner self, getting to know yourself and having that connection with the whole world, not seeing the world as something separate, like, oh, well, this is a tree, this is this is water and this is a river. No, it's not like that. It's really getting in touch with that and knowing the real part of that. If we, take that we come from the stars and we're all like stardust to a certain point, then we'll have minerals. Like you look at your body, you have iron in yourself, you have copper. And how can you explain all that? Like trees, animals, like you'd be surprised how much DNA we share among each other. And yet we think we are so different. I mean, that's what it is for me to be spiritual, to just really understand life as a whole. And I mean, honestly, Valeria, this is what I just, every morning I take some time to meditate and to really appreciate a moment of silence. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I know I'm crazy, but I love it.
Well, a lot of people do that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's called me an early bird, crazy, whatever, but it's just feeling that moment of peace, silence, and really connecting to yourself, how you feel. Like it's like checking in with reality. And then I have my dog. I have a golden retriever who, I love to pieces. And I spend that time to be with my dog, not just like, oh, hi, I love you. But, like touch him, like really appreciate the touch. And then I love listening to his heartbeat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do you know how much magic you have inside? So it's that wonder, that miracle that life is, that makes me really feel, or how I would describe spirituality.
Yeah, wow, that's beautiful. I love the way you said earlier about being spiritual. It's to be connected or to feel that connection with everything. And also, like what you just said, is very powerful in just feeling the heartbeat of an animal and just getting to realize the miracle of life.
Exactly. And it happens like with anyone, like if you really stop and appreciate a person, like let's say you can greet someone and you can hug them or shake their hands, whatever. But if it's someone you have a very special connection with, just don't hug just because you're hugging. Like really, what is it that you feel in that hug? Can you feel the person breathing? Can you hear their heartbeat? So it's that like active meditation you're doing with the person. It helps you appreciate them in life in general.
Wow. Yeah, that's wonderful. Do you ever use the word God and how different it is, spirituality, or what is the connection between spirituality and religion? Do you see a connection?
Yes, there is a connection. Unfortunately, this is just my point of view, and I respect every point of view out there. But I think that it's the same thing. All religions look for that same one thing, or you can call it the universe, but it's that unity, that being one with everything. If you look at different religions, they'll look to, okay, well, be good to your brother, be good to this. So it's the same thing. You have to be good with your planet. You have to love. Everything is love. And it comes from that. And, most religions have a very good foundation when it comes to love. unfortunately, sometimes they get lost and then fanatism gets in the way and egocentrism. And that's when we see a big separation between spiritualism and religion. But in reality, all of them have that same love as the core of their beliefs.
Yeah, that also makes sense to me. Going back to the topic of lifestyle and fitness and diet, when and why you decided to change your lifestyle?
Wow. Okay. So just to, give you a little bit of a background about myself, I, was a kid, and I grew up in a Latino Italian family. And eating was the main thing that people did because it was, it connected you, right? And eat more and eat more. That's what they said. So my parents would be like, you have to eat all the food that your mom gave you, even if it was like humongous portions. You had to eat it because, it's disrespectful, and how many kids are dying, in whatever other country, and you're like throwing everything away. So anyway, that was that. And then my parents always wanted to make me and my brother happy, right? So if I wanted a chocolate, they would give me a chocolate. If I wanted to go eat a Happy Meal at McDonald's, they would take me to McDonald's. And, I understand they're not nutritionists, and not a lot of parents are. So they just want their kid to not be hungry. So it was fine. But it got to a point where I became overweight. My parents were really, especially my dad, was attacking me psychologically a lot because of my weight issues. And instead of like, okay, let's go see a dietitian or let's try to figure something out, he would just blame it on me, right? So it was like, it's your fault that you're overweight. You should stop eating. He was like all sorts of things. And it was his own frustration because this is what I think. I think that in deep within, he probably felt as a bad dad because he was not taking care of my health as he should. So it was just frustration that was accumulated. So that, along with, at school being bullied, because, elementary school and all that, it's like the worst time for a kid to be overweight. All that just got into my head until one day I just hit puberty. I was 12. And I'm like, I'm just going to change. So it was very interesting because it was like an overnight kind of deal. I mean, I was not like how I am right now. I used to be like a lazy kid. No, I don't want to do anything. And, not the best at school. But then something just like, I don't know, just hit me. And I'm like, I have to do something about it because I'm tired. I am tired of being bullied. I am tired of my parents calling me names. I am tired of being like the center of attention for the bad thing. It's like, oh, look at the chubby kid. So I was like, well, I'm just going to do what people do. And it's eat less and move more, right? Because that's the right way to go. So I remember I just started, okay, well, I was a Backstreet Boys fan, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to start dancing to their songs. And the same, with NSYNC and whatever other boy band. And I said, well, I'm just going to reduce my intake, my food consumption. So I'm just going to eat what I liked the most, which was cereal back in the day. And I'm just going to eat it, once a day. That's going to be it, because I'm doing pretty much what I said. So I kept doing that for, I don't know, like a month or something. And I lost weight really, really quickly. And, I was happy with the results. People were like recognizing them. And I felt for once in my life very appreciated because all the attention that I got was for something negative that I was doing. So finally something positive. Yay. So I kept doing it without knowing that in reality, I was hurting my body because I was not giving it what it needs to grow, especially during the teenage years, right? So that was, I kept doing it. And I was kind of okay. But then I started noticing things such as, I was not able to concentrate. I would be sleepy all the time. And my skin was different, like my teachers would say I had pale skin. And I'm like, oh, well, whatever, I didn't really care. But, your body is wise enough to to tell you what's going on inside of it, and it sends signals. And, unfortunately, since we're so disconnected, we don't really notice or do anything about it. It's like, oh, well, I guess that's it. I'm just going to go to the doctor and they'll probably give me, I don't know, an ointment or lotion, and that'll be it. But no, there is a problem and you're not addressing it. You're just putting a Band-Aid there. And that's what was going on with me. So anyway, I kept doing that. I don't know. I something just kicked in. I was like, well, whatever, I'm just going to keep doing this for a while. Then I had this boyfriend who I met, and then he added on to the whole like disaster in my mind, because I wasn't healed already. I was just reducing my weight, but mentally I was still that chubby kid. So he started adding all this I started visiting my old ghosts with him. So I said, you know what, I'm going to get some help. So, I started going on this, meal plan and workout plan and everything. And I started noticing differences in how I felt. And then I started, this is, one thing with me, I am very radical. So if I want something, I want it all, So I don't know how to explain it. But that's what I did, and I started adding running to my schedule, and I was running like 27 miles a week. I was doing yoga on Sundays, and I was, doing 2 hours at the gym every day. So I know it went like straight from not doing a lot to doing a ton. So I just kept doing it. And I thought, well, I'm in this program and I should be fine. But, there's thin line, and it cost me a ton, of effort and, sleepless nights and everything to understand it. But you should not abuse your body, because then you're sending the wrong signal to your metabolism as well, which was something that I did not know. So anyway, I burned out, of course. I incorporated fat burners to my mix of so many things that I was already taking, just to get rid of that extra fat that no one else saw but me. So anyway, I started not sleeping well at night because, my metabolism was so messed up. It was on fight or flight mode. It was, sort of an adrenal fatigue kind of problem, because I was tired in the morning and I was not sleeping at night. I was wired and tired at night.
Yeah, no time for recovery, right?
Right, exactly. I didn't let my body recover at all. And I was not giving it the right foods either. I was not eating fat at all because, oh no, fat is your enemy.
And that's the opposite.
Exactly. I was not eating fat. My carbs were really low, and I was basically just eating a bunch of protein. The number one kind of red flag was my insomnia. Then the second one was amenorrhea, which, for your audience, in case they're not, familiar with the term, it's pretty much when you stop having your period.
Oh, wow. I didn't know. I don't know this term. I didn't know either.
Yeah, no, there's a kind of a triad kind of a thing. So it's mainly, if you eat too few calories throughout the day and you work your body, and I forgot the other one, then the result is something like this, because you're messing up your metabolism. Yeah, it was like that for 5 years. I could not fix my period for 5 years, and I didn't know why.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, I never heard of this before.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what kind of woke me up a little bit. I tried looking for some help from, doctors. And of course, I didn't get anywhere, because they said that, my diet had nothing to do with my problems, and they were probably going to put me on the pill or whatever thing, but they couldn't fix anything. And for sleep problems, I had to take sleeping pills pretty much.
Wow. So that went on, all this messing up with your body for how long, Michelle? From the age of 12 to...
Wow. It was from when I was 12 until I was 25. Tomorrow's my birthday. Yay! I'll be 31. So it went on for about 15 years or so.
Yeah, that's a long time.
yeah, it was really tough until, I started reading because, I think if you don't know something and when you get answers that just you feel like are not real answers, like, oh, it's all in your head. I just did not buy that from doctors. So I started reading, like listening to podcasts, watching seminars and everything that were online from, respected people such as, like I've mentioned, Dave Asprey, which he has inspired me a lot. And I've read his books, Dr. Joseph Mercola, Dr. Sarah Ballantyne, among others, who really are there to tell you, what do you eat, what do you do, and how you move does matter. So I learned from them and I started incorporating, I started to fight that battle that I had against fat and carbohydrates and started adding them back in. I got rid of like the evil things, and such as, gluten in my case. And some people are doing okay with it, but I've read so much research on that, especially Dr. Pearl Mutter's book, Grain Brain. And I agree with what he says. And I just went gluten-free and I had never felt any better. I mean, I made those changes and which have helped me a lot. And I reduced my workout time. I still do CrossFit and I know it's high intensity workout, but I don't do it as often. I do it 3 times a week and then I'll run on Saturdays and that's it. I would walk and I don't go all the way like super extra crazy as I used to. So that little by little, everything following a good diet, again, incorporating fats, carbohydrates, and protein. And right now I actually do more fat than anything. It's about maybe 50% of my intake. I'm doing perfectly fine. My period's back, everything. I look healthy. My skin's not as dry as it was before because there was no fat or anything, like your skin produces oil to, lubricate it. And if you don't have any fat or enough water, well, how do you, where do you get that from? It's been like a long road, but and a lot of learning to do, a lot of experimenting to do. But I finally can say that I cracked the code that works for me because not everybody's the same. And, there's no magic pill. You have to find what works for you.
Right. I agree. From everything that you have learned, are there some basic rules or basic suggestions that you can give that could help anyone to live a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, so this is and I'm so glad you asked because then I've been so lucky to like share this with friends and people that they come to me whenever they're struggling with something. They go like, "Oh my gosh, I need some sort of help." And someone who's been through this, I'm going to go to Michelle. So, I would recommend, I usually say just eat whole foods, meaning that try to get as many fresh, fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables more than fruits, for the fructose content and everything. So I limit myself on the fruit side. But lots of veggies. Everything has to be organic. Everything that I consume is organic. And that goes from the food, like in milk and grass-fed beef and all, as close to nature as I can. If I can track the source and go local, I will 100% do that because then the soil, then you can talk to the farmer and see where, how they're raising their cattle. Another thing is your environment. I changed my environment a lot at home. So I started off basically because of my insomnia problem. I started off with switching the lights. I no longer have blue lights at home, those LED white bright lights that make you feel like you're in a lab. Right. I don't have those. It's like I just switched them to incandescent light bulbs and Himalayan salt lamps. So you go to my house and it's like really zen. Yeah. And also, like I started adding, essential oils. So I have my diffuser and at night I would start using some lavender just to relax my senses. Some lavender, a little bit of peppermint, not too much because if you use too much, then it kind of does the opposite. It gives you more energy. Or at least that happens to me. And I also, that's another thing, environment, where I sleep. recommend that people get a bunch of sleep. Unfortunately, right now we live in a world where there are tons of screens, again, blue light, and limit the time you spend on those. So my rule, for instance, is first off, I don't sleep with a router or modem near my room. I don't charge my phone in my room because of the EMFs. And I have blackout curtains. So I black out all the light. And I still use a night mask just to cover my eyes and make sure that I don't get any light at all. So my body really relaxes and it's like, okay, it's night. Let's release all the melatonin that we can and get, all the cycles in. And, like your environment helps. And also the products that I use at home. So this is for like cleaning products. I get organic, where I use vinegar with essential oils, for laundry as well. There are some organic products now and, shampoos, conditioners, everything they use on your body. Since our skin is transdermal, it's going to be absorbed. So I just try to limit what I put on my body and make sure that it doesn't have SLS or fragrances and all these weird chemicals that no one can pronounce. So that, and lastly, which is very important, is the people I surround myself with. The books, everything that you read is part of you. So if you are with toxic people, unfortunately, it's going to get rubbed off on you. You don't want to be dealing with something you don't want to become. So I had to get rid of people who were really toxic or dramatic. And I looked for happy people, positive people who inspired me to become better, people who kept me going, like, come on, Michelle, you can do this. And because that's just who I am. I encourage people to follow their dreams, to try out that extra burpee because I know that you can. You know what I mean? So that's what I did pretty much.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you mentioned relationships being part of your list of becoming a healthy person. So what are some of the examples of toxic people? What would you say?
Oh, you know what? I am the kind of person who is always on the move, meaning that I'm always thriving and looking for something more. And come on, let's do this. And I want to try this out and I want to travel the world and I want, all these things. So people who are limiting, who are like, no, I think you should just stay home and, be the normal housewife and stuff like that. Those are not my people because they don't inspire me to be my true self. Other people who are always complaining, and unfortunately, in social media, you'll find a lot of those people. They're always complaining about the weather, the dog, the people in traffic, those kinds of people that it just drives me nuts. I usually mute those people or even unfriend them because I don't have time for that. If I'm going to see something, I want something that is inspiring. I like those quotes that are positive. I like to see how people oh my gosh, look, this person just helped another person, or how you can find happiness in a pine cone. Something small and significant. That is what I look for. And anything that's no, people who deviate from that, I say goodbye. Same thing with those who don't respect my philosophy or, what I really like to do. I get rid of those. An example is, for instance, I don't drink nor smoke nor do drugs or anything like that. Never, ever have in my life. Because first off, I don't like the taste of alcohol. So this is just something personal. I don't like how it tastes. I am not going to drink. Secondly, I've noticed how people change with alcohol. And it's whoa. Yeah. So I don't want to be that person, making fool of themselves. So no. And then, I just put this out there and I'm picky when I order my food. When I go to a restaurant, I will go hey, can you switch this for that? Just don't add dressing, don't add this and that because, I know what's in the food. And some people just don't agree with that. Oh, come on, Michelle. It's just a glass of wine. Oh, come on, Michelle. It's just 3 beers. Yeah, right. So I try to stay away from those people because they're not helping me continue with who I really am. They try to change me.
Right. I agree. I do think that one of the things that's very important that we do is to think for ourselves, be courageous and strong enough to say no. I'm not sure about getting rid of everybody because it may not be necessary when you have that kind of strength within, where you can say in a kind way to the person that say a no to them, firm, but in the same way with kindness. I believe in being kind, so but also strong. Yeah, having that.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. I mean, just like whenever someone does not respect you at all, that's when I cut ties. But if it's like, I do have friends who I hang out with and they drink, but they respect me not drinking.
That'll be tough to cut everybody who drinks, right? Because I don't drink either. My fiance too, but it's hard because most people do. It's funny.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's like a social thing. And like, I work in real estate. So it's like the main thing, you cannot say no to drinks on a Friday, stuff like that. But, I know myself and I know how, like how I see things. And this is how I explain to my friends when they ask me about food or drinks or whatever. I'm like, when I see these things, I don't see them as a food and a drink. I see it as the content and how my body is going to interpret that food because everything we put in our bodies is a code. It's a language. So I am not going to put something that's going to be toxic for myself. So this is just how it is. But if you want to do that, if you want to eat the fries, whatever, I'm just telling you, they're not the best option here. But, I'm just putting the information out there. You decide at the end, what do you want to do with your life? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You say that healing starts from the inside. What is the connection between healing and meditation?
Okay, so they go hand in hand because it's like the chicken and the egg kind of thing. Which one comes first? Do you heal first and then you meditate? Do you meditate and then heal? So sometimes, like most of the things that happen or that we do or that we think happen to us, they do happen for us, not to us. So if there is something inside of you that like maybe from your upbringing or something you haven't addressed, and it's still, putting you in that like sabotage or whatever cycle, then you have to heal something inside. For instance, there are a lot of people who are emotional eaters. They feel bad and they'll start eating carbs, for instance, because carbs make you feel good. So if you start addressing like, oh, you know what? I am not hungry. I am feeling, how am I feeling? I'm feeling worried. I'm feeling anxious. Instead of going for the food or something, or just try to see the feeling, live it. Okay. It's like a little child. You have to listen to the little child and then, pacify it. Okay. I'm listening to you. Now I caress you, pet you. Let's do something about it so it can make us feel better. So that is where, the healing process starts, because in order to heal, you have to be conscious and really address the problem. I don't know, like another example could be like me. Okay, so I am a very anxious person. And so the most recent mantra that I've had is I trust. And I just use it whenever I try to calm myself because I don't know what's going to happen or why something happened or a person talked to me in a bad way or they are ignoring me. So me deep within, since my dad was usually like super, when I did something wrong, he would be very strict and, like talk about it for days and days in a row. Now I feel that if someone doesn't do something, it was because of my fault. I take things like very personally because of that upbringing that I had. But once you recognize that, then you can control it and go like, okay, first off, relax. You don't really know what's going on. Once you start rationalizing, breathing in, calming yourself, or even tapping, which is great. And you probably know about it. It just relaxes you very much. So once you're aware of that, then you start healing. And it's a long process. It's like forgiveness. You cannot forgive someone who did something to you right away. It's an ongoing thing that you need to, practice and practice until it heals. That's what I would say is like the relationship between healing and meditation.
How long do you meditate every day?
So it really depends on, my schedule. I usually do at least 5 minutes, and the longest, usually on weekends, I can do 30 minutes.
Yeah. Do you feel the difference when you do 5 or 30? It doesn't really matter.
No, it does. Honestly, it does feel different because when I do longer meditations, I don't just, focus on my breath. I do a lot of visualization, or I add being grateful for things, or I add forgiveness into it, or I manifest my ideal life. So it really just depends. I would use guided meditation sometimes through apps, or I would just go on my own. And honestly, it is hard, because your brain is always working, controlling, and like there's a thought coming here and there's another one coming here. But you feel, again, depending on the meditation you do, but most of the times when I add gratitude and forgiveness to my meditation, oh my gosh, I feel so peaceful. Like, really, seriously. I mean, it takes, after, meditating for so long, it's really hard to make me upset. Like, even my husband goes like, well, you're just like, I don't know how you control that. And it's like, well, I am human, I do feel emotions, but I recognize that because I've worked on scenarios in my head while I'm meditating. And then, okay, so you are feeling frustrated. Now breathe in, breathe out, let it go. So I've trained my brain to handle anger and frustration and everything much better than a person who hasn't meditated,
Yeah, I feel the difference every time I meditate too. But one of the things that I found out, I'm not sure how deep this is for me, is that when you know that you are already perfect, like you were talking before, you're part of everything. There's nothing missing, nothing lacking. You're just perfect, exactly the way you are right now. You don't have to add anything. There's no need for anxiety, to worry, nothing. All this is just a waste of life and time, if quotes and quotes time. So I think that understanding, when deep enough, it sort of makes all these methods go away. Like, you don't need the methods anymore. You just live in that state of being. I call it being. I think some people, they do too. Sounds like spiritual in a way, but I don't think it's actually a spiritual, a wisdom concept. It's just, we feel it. Like you said, you talked just today about how everything's connected, how you love hugging the trees and even the heartbeat of your dog. That just kind of, just by you saying that, I was like, wow, yeah, like resonated with my entire being. Oh, I don't even, never met you, but it's like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's like, it's the little things, and it's so funny because sometimes people like normally don't understand that.
Yeah. They keep adding things, right? They want.
Yeah. And they go like, why are you so excited about this? So it happened to me recently. I was on a trip in Croatia and I was with this friend of mine and I got so excited when I found goat milk yogurt. So it's like, I was like, oh my gosh, it's goat milk yogurt. He was like, what? Exactly. And it's like, it's the little things, or a dog. I petted a dog. I was like going all nuts because, it's just like that sensation and they communicate, like things communicate back to you because we're energy, it's like, it's amazing. And once you're meditating, you're in that state, then you don't feel any different. You don't feel like a body that's sitting there. It's like there are no limits. You're like part of it all. It's really crazy. I know it sounds woo-woo and whatnot.
No, it's not at all. This is actually the truth, quotes and quotes truth, because you're right. A lot of people, they're not there yet. So they keep adding things because they feel that they're not enough. But I really, yeah, that's what it is for me. And every time I hear other people talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you get it too. So, yeah. And that's really incredible how it takes us so long to understand something that it's so fundamental, so simple.
Exactly. And honestly, you don't really have to be sitting somewhere and with your eyes closed. I mean, you can do active meditation, and I do this every Saturday when I wake up. I'll meditate a little bit, but then I go for a run, and I see the sunrise. So I'm running. I'm feeling how I'm like touching the ground. I'm counting my breaths just to keep, like the VO2 max going, and I see the sunrise. So it's a mixture of how it smells, like the plants, the water that, like fell from the rain before, how it smells, that humidity, then how you feel the temperature, then you see the sunrise. It's so many things at the same time that you take the time to really appreciate, and you're like blown away, because it's like you cannot believe that by just doing the simple act, you're actually being more present than ever.
Yes, right. Like experiencing what's happening in the moment instead of living in our thoughts, right? Like what's next or what have passed. Like the past and the future, they're both illusions. But we are sort of trapped, most of us. And that's funny because I find myself sometimes getting back into that trap of like, oh, I got to get this done, or thinking too much about the future. That is just not the way to be or to live. But there's nothing wrong with planning and doing something for the future, but not worrying about. When anxiety is present, that's a sign that we're just not in touch with what you just said, like being in the meditative state of being.
Yeah, exactly. And then just really quick, a thing that I have with a friend is I would start asking him, so what time is it? And the answer would be now. And then where are we? And the answer would be here. And I saw that, in a quote. I think Winnie the Pooh said it to Piglet or something, but I found it so deep and so true. So I try to, like, whenever someone's like going all crazy and stuff, and I'm like their accountability buddy, I'm just saying, what time is it and where are we?
Yeah, here and now. Oh, yeah, I love that. I'm going to be moving the conversation to a few questions about they're related to philosophy, spirituality, questions that I am curious about to ask all of my guests. Do you want to say anything related to diet, fitness, and health before I move on?
No, I think I've pretty much covered it all. Covered it all with the basics that I mentioned. So we can move on for sure.
What is another word for healing?
I'd say transformation, because when you start healing, you start realizing things that you implement little by little, and it's like medicine. Like you do a little bit of change and you start feeling another. Like once you start increasing the dose, so you're transforming. It's like that butterfly kind of progress. When you start like little and then you become and you transform into something different thanks to the healing that you've been doing.
Right. But is it possible to transform the other way around?
Then it wouldn't be healing, but yeah, I mean, you could go from good to bad, but at the end, I mean, like, I don't think it would be very constructive for someone to go that route.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course not.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say then in that case, like a positive transformation.
Positive transformation. Yes. Let's be more specific, right, Michelle?
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, it's like, well, I don't know.
Yes, right. Because transformation could, yeah, some people, they do transform in a negative way. I don't know. We don't know why. This is the mystery of life, right? Not all of us learn everything. What is love to you?
To me, love is the main engine, the main fuel that moves us all, because it's what you feel, it's what you see. We wouldn't be here if there weren't love, because it's such a strong energy. And, at the very end, I think it's what moves us and what moves the world and what moves galaxies and everything that surrounds us. So that's what it is for me.
Right. How do you define success?
Wow, success, I think it depends on everybody, like there's not like, oh, okay, so you drive a very expensive car, you're successful. No, I think success is very relative. So if I to me a successful person is someone who is rich, but not rich like financially, but in life with experiences. You're a successful person if you get to really appreciate the small things. If you get to experience a sunrise, if you have friends and people who love and support you, you're rich if you have knowledge and you know how to apply it and you know how to be of service and use it to benefit not only yourself, but benefit others. So I would say it's just a combination of experience and plus knowing yourself for real instead of, well, yeah, I think I like spaghetti. Well, not that kind of knowing yourself, but knowing deep inside how you really are, what you love, what motivates, what moves you, and the people that are there to, help you, support you along the way. I think that's what makes you a successful person.
Yeah, really great. What was the hardest lesson to learn about yourself, others, and life?
Oh, wow. The hardest lesson that I've learned about myself is that I crave that attention that my dad didn't give me while I was growing up. And it, like made me make some interesting choices, with people as long as they paid attention to me, or that I even did things for people that would hurt me or put me in a bad situation as long as they were happy and as long as they accepted me. So once I realized, wow, there is this going on, and I am letting this person who doesn't want to be with me, who doesn't want anything to do with me, but I'm still trying my best to have them accept me. That's when I was like, okay, so this is not the right way. And then I started gaining confidence and going like, I am not going to be begging people to be with me, because if people want to be with me or want to be somewhere where I'm at, it's going to be because they want to be with me, not because I am there, like begging them to be with me. So that is what I've learned, about myself from people, that there is good in everyone. That's what I've learned. Unfortunately, so many people just go like, oh no, this person's like this and this person's like that. But we cannot be judging, because we naturally do. It's an instinct that we can't get rid of, but we can always rationalize it. And instead of going like, oh, I can't believe so and so did this. Well, they did the best thing they could in their situation, because if we had been in that situation, or someone else, wouldn't you have done the same thing, or how would you have reacted? So that's what I learned about people. There's always, no matter how they act, there's always good in them. They're people. They want to be good. They want to love people. They have something good. They're not after you all the time. And the other thing is, what I've learned about life. Was that the other question?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that we are all one. That's what I learned. It will sound cheesy and whatnot, but we are, and we're united. We are one thing. And so just to add a little bit more on this, when my mom passed, my dad and my brother, they were devastated. I understand, I was sad. It's normal. But then, it just hit me that my mom really never left. She's everywhere. She just transformed the energy that she was. She's probably that kid smiling. She's probably in the stream, in the river. She's all over the place, and she's in me first off because I'm half her. And also nothing really disappears or dies until you forget about them. So as long as I keep my mom in my memories, she's going to be there all the time and everywhere I go. So there you are. Like, we're one.
You're such a wise girl.
Oh, thank you.
That is so wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Very beautiful. What is to be strong, Michelle?
To be strong is to know yourself and to not let anyone else change you. So if you want to be a chemist, a singer, an architect, whatever you want to be, and you really feel like it, go follow that dream, follow the heart wherever it takes you. And don't let anyone change you and tell you, hey, you know what? You can't do this. Oh no, whatever. Just do follow your dreams. And that's how you're going to be stronger, because then you're going to be happy and you're going to be confident. So everything comes down to that. Just be yourself and follow wherever your heart takes you.
My last three questions. If you knew you would die soon, just meaning losing the physical body, would you change anything or do anything differently from now on?
I would stop putting off things that I had been planning to do. And that's something that I recently did. I had been planning a trip back to Italy for 15 years. And, the right time never arrived. So I just took a plane and that was it. So that's what I would do. I'm so tired of putting things off. And then you go like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed that. So it would be that I would start acting now and start living and enjoying life more, rather than being super restrictive as I usually have been and waiting for the right moment to come, because the right moment never comes. So just jump.
Yes. Do you believe in life after death?
Yes, I do. Because like I said, energy doesn't just die and disappear, like even Einstein said it just transforms. So, I mean, like I may not be the same person. Maybe I'll be a snail. Maybe I'll be a rock, a tree, but my energy is going to be there.
But you don't believe in you living on as Michelle, the same personality continuing after death?
It's a little hard. Maybe there may be like traces of me, but I may not be aware that I was a human before. You know what I mean? But my energy is still going to be there.
Interesting that you don't believe in those things. Like mind continuation is something that it's talked a lot in Buddhism, especially reincarnation, rebirth, but you don't have any beliefs in that.
Yeah, and no, I mean, like, it could happen. I am not entirely sure about that yet. All I know is that me as my energy, I'm just going to be something else. But if I'm going to remember who I was in lifetime before, maybe not.
Yeah. And the last question, what are three things about life you know for sure?
Three things about life I know for sure: that no matter where I go, what I do, the universe has a plan for me. Like it's given me a gift, that like idea of like, okay, follow this because this is where you're going to be okay. So no matter what I do, it's going to be for my best interest. The universe is not going to it didn't put me on this earth to suffer, right? I mean, we suffer, but it didn't put me here in vain. That's what I'm trying to say. It's, you have a purpose. So no matter what, I'm going to guide you, help you, give you omens, so you can get to your final destination. That is one. Number two is, I'm going to be repeating myself a little bit here, but just how we're here to serve each other, like, I don't believe in people who are like, oh no, I got this knowledge and I'm not going to share it with you because it took me 4 years in college. No, I am here to share my knowledge with you. This is what has worked for me. So, and I hope it helps you because I want you to be better. I hope that whatever I say and do makes you a better person. That's what I think that we're here for. And number three, we're just here to be happy. That's what I know for sure. I mean, everything kind of like intertwines with that, but we're here to be our best version of ourselves and to enjoy life and be happy with what we do. If you're not happy somewhere, just move, because I know that it's a lot of people will like bring a lot of excuses to not change because, change instability, and it makes you feel weird and uneasy. But sometimes you have to go through that in order to be where you really want to be. Just be happy. Do whatever makes you happy and follow it.
Yeah. I like that. The only danger with the last item number 3, happiness, the pursuit of happiness, is that I think nowadays very much connected to pleasure, feeling good. And that could lead us to disastrous situations.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have to be like really smart. You're not going to go, oh, well, I'm going to just like, do drugs because it makes me happy. No, but you have to find like a deeper meaning to happiness, not like whatever, like, splurging. No, just really like, what is it that pulls you? Oh, well, what pulls me or what moves me is, I don't know. In my case, it's meeting other cultures, seeing people from different backgrounds, helping them out to become better in their, lives and everything. So that makes me happy. That moves me. And that makes, it follows my philosophy of being of service and everything. So that's what that type of happiness is what I'm talking about.
Yes, there is meaning, right, behind that happiness. That's wonderful. It has been a meaningful conversation, speaking of meaning.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed this. I'm so glad that you got in touch with me and everything. I highly appreciate, the time that you've invested in this. And we'll keep in touch for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. Where can we find more information about you, your work, services, and future projects?
Yeah, so I have a blog, yay, that I have been putting out forever. So until like you were like, hey, Michelle, and I was like, okay, you are a divine sign. So it's super simple. It's M as in Michelle, Schacherer, my last name, which is SCHACHERER, and then the word CrossFitter. .blogspot.com. So that's my blog, and I'm adding all sorts of articles, and I share ideas with people. So feel free to just jump in, read, and add any comments. And I love hearing from people. So feel free to just, like I said, put a comment there, or give me a call. Shoot me an email. My email is S as in Sally, M as in Michelle, Schacherer, SCHACHERER @gmail.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again for your presence.
Thank you, Valeria.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now, Michelle.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening. To learn more about Michelle Schacherer, please visit her blog, MSCHACHERER, CrossFitter.blogspot.com. To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. I want to thank the Patreon members, Lawrence McGrath, Mark Basden, Terry Clayton, and Aidan Vickrock. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.